Hey guys, it's Channon Rose, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a story time about how sex sent me to the ER. So I'm sure you guys have maybe heard of the show called Sex Sent Me to the ER. I had seen it and I was like, oh my god, Sex Sent Me to the ER, I need to tell this story on my channel. So I ended up going to the hospital because I had sex. And I'm gonna tell you what happened. So you're probably thinking, Shannon was on a porn set during her porn days and some huge penis like fucked her up and sent her to the ER, but that's not the story. Although that would be a great story, that's not what happened. I was actually at home at night, normal. I wasn't even doing porn at the time. This was like when I was like taking a break from porn. And me and my boyfriend at the time, or my boyfriend and I at the time, decided that we were gonna, get it on. We were gonna have sex. So my boyfriend and I are having sex, and I'm noticing like it's kind of painful, like as he's like going inside me, and I'm not really sure like why, but I'm just like, whatever, it feels really good, like I'm not gonna tell him to stop. So whatever, he's going, and then like it gets to be like the end of us having sex, and all of a sudden it's going like harder. And then like whatever, he finishes, and I am just like, something's not right. Like I'm like really hurting. And then I'm like laying in bed because like I was just like, I don't know, like I feel like I just like, my stomach hurts really bad. I'm not really sure what's going on. It almost felt like kind of like a stabbing pain, but like it wasn't that intense. So I was just like, I'm just gonna chill in bed. Like, so I laid down in bed like after we finished having sex for like probably 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden, like 2 minutes later, no joke, I am having the worst fucking pain of my entire life. Probably not my entire life because I did break my back, but this was like pretty close. Like this was like really bad pain. Like it literally felt like somebody was stabbing me like multiple times over and over without stopping, right in this area on a specific side. I don't know if it's my right or left side, I can't remember, but I didn't know if my appendix was rupturing or like what was going on, but I'm pretty sure like at that point in time I was convinced that I was dying because I was in so much pain. And whenever I feel like something is going wrong or something is going really great, it doesn't matter. I call my mom like 8 times a day. I call my mom and I'm like, Mom, and I'm like screaming and crying in like so much pain. I can barely like communicate to her like what's going on, and she's just like, meet me at Northridge Hospital. That was like the hospital nearest by to where I lived at the time. So I tell my boyfriend, and my boyfriend's like, has no idea what's going on, poor thing. I'm like, we have to go to the hospital, like something's very wrong, I don't know what's going on, and I am just like in excruciating amounts of pain. Like literally, I'm like, I'm gonna die in like 5.3 seconds. Like this is too much. And I almost kind of wanted to die at this point because I was in so much pain, like my body just couldn't handle it. Like I felt like I was gonna pass out, that's how much pain I was in. So he ends up having to carry me into the car to get me to the hospital because like if you call an ambulance, especially in LA, like they just take freaking forever, especially if it's not like, if you haven't been shot or someone's not already like been murdered, they take forever to get there. So he ended up putting me, like carrying me into the car and driving me himself to the emergency room. So we get to the emergency room and my mom is like really worried, and normally my mom doesn't get that worried. She's like grown up in the medical field. She's worked in the medical field her whole life. So like she's not very sympathetic or empathetic like when it comes to like me being in pain. Like when I was in my car accident when I was 15 and broke my back, I ended up having to have like multiple surgeries after that. And my second surgery, I remember I was in so much pain, like obviously I couldn't move. I was like confined to my bed, but my mom is an amazing mom and she stayed with me there the whole time. Like she spent the night there in those like uncomfortable chairs that you sleep in the hospital. And I had to pee really bad and I couldn't get up and I had to use a bedpan. So I woke my mom up in the middle of the night so that she could help put the bedpan underneath me because I had to pee, and I'm like, Mom, I have to pee really bad. She's like, call your nurse, that's what your nurse is for. She was like right there. The nurses take a while to get there and I'm like having to hold my pee. I almost ended up peeing in my bed. So that's just like an idea. Like my mom is the most loving, amazing person. I don't want anyone to think that like my mom is a bad person, but when it comes to like me being in pain or whatever, like she's not at least that point of our life and like my life and her life, she wasn't that sympathetic. So for my mom to come to the hospital, the emergency room, she obviously like could hear it in my voice that something was like very wrong with me, and she was concerned. She even called my dad because like they thought I was dying and didn't know what was wrong. And so like my dad shows up to the emergency room with his girlfriend, my mom shows up to the emergency room, and I'm literally in there. They had to get a wheelchair for me because I couldn't walk, and they lift me up, put me into a wheelchair. I'm screaming, still in pain. This is like in the valley, the San Fernando Valley of like LA. I say LA because people that don't live there don't really know the area. It takes a long time for you to get in, even if you're like screaming in pain like I was. It took them like, I don't know, an hour to get me in, and this whole time I'm like in so much pain. My mom, my dad, everybody's with me. They're like, it's okay, it's okay. And then like there's some random old lady coming over with like her cross in her hand. She's like, can I pray for her? And my parents are not very religious, but they were like, yeah, sure, because they didn't want to hurt the lady's feeling. And they probably thought I was dying, so like, yes, pray for this bitch, like, forgive her sins, she needs it. I was like flipping out because I'm like, oh my God, God sent an angel to pray for me, like, I'm really dying today. And I just remember being like in the most amount of pain ever. Finally, they take me back. And they're like, you know, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm having so much pain. Like they're trying to, like my parents trying to explain like what's going on or whatever, because I could like not explain at all. So finally, they give me a morphine shot or whatever. That honestly helped so much. Like I could still feel the pain and it was still really painful, but that literally made it so I was able to talk and like calm down and relax a little bit. And they ended up doing a vaginal ultrasound and found out that the reason that I was in like this excruciating amount of pain was because I had an ovarian cyst that had ruptured, and it had ruptured because I was having sex. And like the sex aggravated it and made it so that it like ruptured. I guess it was already there, you know, and I had ovarian cysts like multiple times, but never that bad before in my life. That's basically how sex sent me to the ER. It was pretty embarrassing when I had to tell my parents the reason. I just said like, oh, a cyst ruptured, and they're like, oh, just like randomly. And then like, you know, I was like, well, we were having sex and that's like what made it so that, you know, it was awkward, whatever. But like my parents are pretty cool, so I don't think they cared very much. But like my boyfriend at the time felt so bad, and he was like one of my sweet boyfriends. He never did anything wrong to me. I think that like he just loved me more than I loved him, as like fucked up as that seems. And so we ended up like going our separate ways, but like he was a good boyfriend and he felt really bad at the time, and so I felt bad for him. But yeah, let me just tell you, I was really liking that morphine because it helped me so much. And I'm always like so scared to get like ovarian cysts that rupture, even though I've had some since then, but never that bad. Like I honestly thought I was dying. So yeah, that's basically how sex sent me to the ER. And ever since then, you guys, like if I ever had cysts rupture again that weren't that bad, I would go to the emergency room and I would tell my mom, and she'd be like, oh, Shan, just go in the emergency room, she had another cyst rupture. So like it ended up being like not that big of a deal after that. Like once they knew that it wasn't like life-threatening. The only way it could be life-threatening is if like the cyst like twists, I think, and so you still have to go to the emergency room every time like I had that pain. I still had to go to make sure like it wasn't like life-threatening, you know? If you've ever had a cyst rupture before, you know how freaking painful it is. It freaking sucks. But anyway, yeah, let me know. Have you guys ever had that before? Do you know anybody that's had a cyst rupture? Do you know anybody else that's been sent to the ER because sex sent them there? Let me know. I want to know I'm not the only person. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're not already subscribed and you want to see more story times like this one, be sure to hit that red button down below. It'll notify you when I have a new video that comes out. Also, don't forget to thumbs up this video so I know that you like them and you want me to keep making them. Share this video with your friends. Thank you again so much for watching. I'm sending you all my love and all my positive energy, and I hope to see you in my next video. And in today's video, I'm going to be telling a story time about how a celebrity drugged me at a Halloween party. I don't know why we do this to ourselves. Like, we dress in these slutty ass costumes, we wear these huge ass heels, and then we get fucking wasted, and it's like hazard zone. Like we're putting ourselves like in the line of danger. And then I get a little bit closer and I start to recognize like a lot of people, and I'm like, oh shit, like that's so-and-so, or that's so-and-so. Like these are like pretty big celebrities that are at this party, and there's like a ton of them. I walk downstairs and I open the door, and you're not gonna believe like what was going on. They were not having sex. They were doing something way fucking weirder than that. So this chick is sitting on the bed. Like this whole part of her costume is like pulled down, and like right here, there is like a cut.